Oh, it's yourself. How you doing? Nice to see you. Got morning coffee. Guess what's in here? Yes, the usual egg muffin. So I'll have that and then I'll come and talk to you. Oh, that was great. Still got my coffee, but the egg muffin polish is gone. So, I've been rather busy. Sorry about my last ramble was a little while ago. I think it was about February or something like that, wasn't it? Because it was probably March I went to, or was it April? No, it was April I went to Japan, losing track of time. But firstly, I can't say too much about what I do. However, I'll tell you about that little cough in a minute. However, I'm on an NDA, so we can't really talk much. However, geopolitics is quite important in my world at the moment, and there are 3 books that are just brilliant. I must tell you about. It's by the author's Tim Marshall, and it's The Power of Geography, The Prisoners of Geography, and The Future of Geography. Now, my wife is her degree was in geography, and my 2 stepdaughters, their degrees in geography. So it was like they encouraged me to read these books, and I thought, geography, boring. I used to think it was boring at school. Probably led to me getting, failing my O levels. But my goodness, if you'd told me it was this exciting. It takes you through, the land base and why the history and why they evolved the way they did. Largely through, partly through terrain, partly through the minerals like oil, etc. that they have, and so all of that. So it's really, really fascinating. So I do highly recommend. And those 3 books just tell you just about everything that's going on, and it's like a multi-dimensional chess game that we're all in. We're mere pawns, and and it's actually interesting to once you sort of take it from that perspective and you see the geopolitics, you're less worried about it because you just see it as chess moves, things that are happening for a reason and inevitable. Hopefully world war isn't inevitable, but the mere skirmishes we see on the way there certainly are. So it makes you less anxious about the way things are going, and more, this is just an evolution that we're going through, and things will take time to work themselves out, as they always do. But enough said on that, and that's been keeping me busy since July last year, so it's a year now, and it had an exciting, like this weekend it was quite exciting. It has its ups and downs, but it got it can get quite stressful, so you do need to take time out, and I did. So I took it was my wife's big birthday, so and how I think I mentioned before, my father was in the shipyards and working for John Brown's, and they built the Cunard QE2. So my dad was very much involved in that. He was a shop steward, so very big in the unions. So it was nice to go on the Cunard Queen Elizabeth to circumnavigate Japan. So I did that, and it was just fantastic. Taking me back to what my father did, and the craftsmanship of the Cunard. The Queen Elizabeth wasn't built in Clydebank. It was built by Fincantieri in Italy, but nevertheless, you could see the standard that Cunard delivered to, which is phenomenal, and it was really amazing. Having the spa more or less to yourself, because it was had to pay a little bit extra for the spa, and it was like immaculate. And but a few people did, so there was only about, I don't know, 30 or 40 people allowed in it for the week, which is fantastic. So, and then obviously going around Japan, seeing all the places, Japanese people are just amazing. They're better than us. Our society is just a mess. If you go to Japan, my goodness, what a collaboration of humanity. Huge humbleness that they have, and respect for others, and they respect you. You know, they like to see visitors to their society, and they, you know, we had loads of people, hello, and you know, being all nice to us on the tubes as we pass, and we stick out like sore thumbs as tourists. So it was fantastic. But the people make Japan, and I tell you, it would be a great country to live in. We went to one of the busiest crossings ever, and I've never been so excited crossing the road, like, you know, tens of thousands of people. It was Friday night as well, and it was busy time, so it was really quite special. And then everywhere we went, we were greeted by, you know, when we were on the ship. Every time we came into port, there was, you know, drummers and a bit of a fanfare to get there. So every now and then you hear me cough. So I've been having this little cough for about 3 or 4 weeks now. I think it's getting disappearing. I don't know what it is. One of these viral things, possibly from my grandsons. Went to see them when I went up to Loch Lomond, and that was fantastic. In their nursery, they did a little sports day, and just watching the characters of my grandsons coming out. One he wasn't competitive at all, but he enjoyed the race and he won it, but not through trying to be the fastest, just by, oh, this is fun, I like running. He's really a fast runner. So he won his race. And then it came to the other one. His name's Callan, the other one's Marcus. And when it came to Marcus, he's only 3, and it came to him. He didn't wait for it to start. He just ran, and he won through just being on his own. And he just sat down next to the teachers and held the rope to allow the others to go. It was lovely seeing them. So yeah, it was fantastic. And then we stayed in the island of Inchmurrin, which is your heart rate goes down about 5 points, just because it's just so relaxing, and there's nothing in the middle of Loch Lomond, apart from this little island. Kirsty Young bought an island, and I think there's another island up for sale at the moment, but this one's been around since the 1930s, with the Scott family, and Mrs. Scott, who was one of the original buyers with her husband. Her husband's no longer with us, and he was he was in the Highland Games, and he was an expert there, but he was also used the Scots porridge oats. He's the model on Scots porridge oats, the guy with the kilt, and his wife, who's still alive, just turned 100. Incredible. And she's getting a little bit perhaps not as active, but certainly she was watching the ceilidh that we were all at, and she was up there, and she wasn't dancing, no, she was actually still eating her meal in front of everybody, and just nodding. People were coming up to see her, and so she was one of the first to get a card from King Charles the Third, and just after his coronation. So it was quite a special time when we were up there. Always is. And then I went to Monaco, just at the Grand Prix. I happened to be there. A colleague or a client, depending. He's not a client yet. He's a client when it's successful. He's a colleague until then. But yeah, he's become a friend over the years. He's been looking to buy a yacht, and we went on to see this one, and it was stunning. It was just, we spent about most of the day just at anchor, just having a look and just relaxing and experiencing it. And it looks like he might proceed. So we'll see. Time will tell. I've been, it's not over till the proverbial fat lady sings, as I say. So yeah, there's a long way to go until the door is closed. But the opera singer is definitely warming up her vocals, that's for sure. Now, the other thing is, I took a picture of HSBC this morning in Canary Wharf, and we're moving apparently, allegedly. Well, it was in the papers yesterday, and then it was in the BBC as well. But there was no comment from HSBC. So I, like Francis Urquhart, you may very well think that I couldn't possibly comment. However, if we were to move, it may well be in St Paul's, of all places, which St Paul's Cathedral is just gorgeous to look over onto. So that would be quite incredible. That's absolutely sure. And then you've got the Millennium Bridge to go over to the Tate Gallery, the South Bank's there, quite handy, and then all the various restaurants. In fact, First Dates restaurant is actually in St Paul's. So I'll take my my good lady to that restaurant and see what it's like. Internally, I've now got this big meeting. Shall we call it a big meeting? It's an idea that came from another big company, and we're trying it out internally. 1,300 people came to my first one, which was quite exciting. And because you've got to try and make people collaborate, you've got to try and make it interesting for those who are not talking. You've got to, make sure people are primed with who the presenters are. So there's, quite a few presenters, not just, I'm hosting the webinar. It's quite interesting. I quite enjoyed it. I did get the adrenaline going last week. Almost like, I'll do some work on stage. I've been on stage before, and that's quite exciting when you just before you come on stage, you get the butterflies. But the way you got to think about butterflies is that's to help you. That's just a sign that adrenaline is going to start pumping. And sure enough, I had a little bit of butterflies before the last meeting, and I thought, okay, here we go. And as soon as it went off, I could almost feel the adrenaline, just pumping up, and then get going, poof, and then you're in there. It's rare you get that in a job, so it's quite, it's something to look out for. So always get yourself involved in something that's quite exciting and challenging for you, because that's the only way you have fun. I think that's all I wanted to say. I've looked with my 4 or 5 bullet points up there. So I'll put in some videos, clips of what I was talking about during this, and I can feel my cough just about to come on, so I'm just going to cut off there. And nice to talk to you. You have a fantastic day, and speak to you all soon.